Ain't no bone stronger than me and my money. Ain't no bone stronger than me and my money. That's just how I like it, that's just how I want it. Ain't no bone stronger than me and the money. Ain't no bone stronger than me and the money. Ain't no bone stronger than me and my money. Ain't no bone stronger than me and my money. Ain't no bone.
All right, guys, warm welcome. Austrian Hispanic here. It is February 6th, and last night we had the President Trump give the State of the Union, and I want to touch on a few things that he went over, but specifically his the test of socialism and how we'll never have socialism here in the U.S. And my rebuttal to that is we heard the rebuttal from the Democrats, and it's very plain and simple. And here's my argument: we've had socialism for quite some time, since 1913, and the bridge that I'm going to cross is the fact that socialism is just a derivative of collectivism, and that is just central planning. And we've had central planning in the U.S. for quite some time, and the Federal Reserve is the the apex of that system. And what that means is that when the Federal Reserve was created in 1913, which isn't the first central bank that we've had two or three central banks in the U.S. Since its founding, even before then. But now in current times, our central banking system is ran by a private entity that is not beholden to the American people. It is beholden to its shareholders, and so what has slowly happened is that the Federal Reserve, in cahoots with the government, has manipulated prices, has overregulated, has done things that are not in the interest of the individual. They have been done with private interest in mind, with a collective ideology in mind, and that's what needs to be rooted out for us to have true capitalism, and do away with socialism, do away with all these programs, these massive programs that can't be sustained. We are $22 trillion in debt that the Federal Reserve admits to. Now, there's another $14 trillion that disappeared, or that they're not going to talk about, but let's not even get into that. Let's look into the fact that our system is massive. Our subsidizing programs of our welfare state, our militarism, our corporatism, crony capitalism, and how this has been portrayed as true capitalism. But if you look at what is capitalism, capitalism is essentially free markets, where the free markets get to dictate supply and demand levels. They get to it's made up of individuals. And the premise that the markets fail. I agree with socialists on this, that markets do fail, because the market's made out of individuals, and individuals are human beings that make mistakes, like everybody. Everybody makes mistakes. But to believe that markets fail and government needs to step in to correct the mistakes is asinine. The reason being is because government's made out of individuals as well, and not only are they flawed individuals, but it seems like the new crop of Democrats, and not just Democrats but Republicans, but I will put the emphasis on Democrats for now, is that when markets fail, government needs to step in even more than it already does. We have we do have a flawed healthcare system. We do have a flawed banking system. We do have a flawed so many systems. They're all flawed, and To think that to have more government involvement, to have more government intervention is the answer. It's just it's not really paying attention to what the problem is, and the problem is government itself. It's massive programming. It's massive uh, control through regulation, through taxation, and they believe that the only way that to fix these problems is let's have a one payer system, let's have more intervention. And I'm kind of at a crossroads with my career, or my path, my financial path. And the reason being is because we have Alexandria Ocasio talking about a progressive tax rate. Let's just tax uh, these programs into existence, when not even talking about the debt bubble, not even talking about the dollar bubble, not even going over how are these programs going to be fixed, or I'm sorry, not going to be, how are these programs going to be funded, and just saying the billionaires will pay for it. And the demonization of wealthy individuals is something that, especially in my generation, the millennials, they like to hate on the wealthy. And so going back to me, I want to get into trading equities and currencies, not cryptos. I think they're trash. But getting into uh, uh, this industry, uh, the main reason is to have a lifestyle for myself that that is going to be comfortable, that is going to be benefit me and my family directly. I think that's the emphasis, the individual and family. So, what incentive do I have to make $10 million if I'm going to be taxed at the 70% rate? What incentive do I have to contribute to a system that is not going to benefit me at all? It's actually going to hurt me. At this point, it will benefit me because I'm not in the that tax bracket that I wish to be in. But what incentive is there for entrepreneurship, for investment, for risky investment? What incentive is there for a company to come here and let's say build a factory, or a retail chain, or whatever it may be? What's the incentive for these companies? Because at the end of the day, everybody looks out for themselves and their family first. So the question is, how can we fix a system that is flawed, right? And this is, I'm appealing more to the socialist Democrats than Republicans, but to some degree they're the same. In my opinion, some Republic or most Republicans are closet socialists themselves. My rebuttal is more to the Democrats than the Republicans. But in my opinion, they're both in the same camp, which is massive government. But the Democrats, they seem to hit as hard left as they can, and we see a race to the left, and Ocasio's at the forefront because she's on CNN and MSNBC. Whatever topic that, or whatever program she has the idea for, is just have the billionaires pay for it. So I have to agree with the socialists that we do have a flawed system, but their solution is even worse than the problem itself. How can we have markets that fail but government that does not? And it's clear, very, very clear, that when government gets involved in the markets, it only does not fix the problem, it makes it worse. And then the biggest problem that we're gonna have is the upcoming dollar crisis, the upcoming collapse of our stock markets that are overpriced, the collapse in our bond market, and it has to do with the fact that the Federal Reserve has been manipulating our money supply since 1913, and they are the biggest key to this problem. If we have a solution where we have banking that is sound, let's say a 40% backed gold dollar, and species is in silver, then they can't. They're very limited to how much they can expand and contract the money supply. In my opinion, I think 40% is a reasonable ratio of reserves in a banking system. You don't need 100% reserves. Uh, it's we need something that can allow for a market adjusting of the business cycle. Uh, but that's a whole nother topic. But I just want to make it clear that socialists are right and that the system is flawed, but they are going to take it to the next level, and that's what's going to lead us into what Venezuela is going through, what the Russians went through after the Bolshevik Revolution, which is unproductivity. It's going to lead to massive hunger. It's going to lead to starvation. It's going to lead to what has been repeated over and over and over again. And it's that Marxist doctrine. And I just want to advocate to you guys to understand economics, to understand not just what's taught in universities, which is Keynesian and neoclassical, but to look at works such as Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations, Austrian's papers by Mises, by Frederick Hayek's The Road to Selfdom. Diversify your literature, not just what Maynard Keynes put out there or his disciples, but just everybody get a little understanding of Marxism, of Austrian economics, of Keynesians, of Ricardians, the different systems and what's worked and what hasn't worked. So I just want to thank you guys for checking out my podcast or my show. I'm going to have some more ideas. I'm definitely going to get back into trading. I'm definitely going to go back into doing reviews of gold, silver, special drawing rights, some other market news. But for now, let's make it very clear. Be a free thinker. Think for yourself. Get the information that's out there. So Austrian Hispanic signing out.